Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my weekly reads video. This is for week number 18 and it is May the 2nd through the 8th, 2021. So welcome everybody. I am in a slightly different location. I'm not sitting at my desk, I'm sitting in front of my Harlequin shelves. Mainly because I just shot a video for Read Bliss and I thought since I was already sitting here and everything was already ready to go for a video, why not film my weekly reads video sitting here too? You guys get a slightly closer look at my Harlequin shelves. I'm still, of course, in the process of trying to get them all organized, but it's a slow and steady process. I will get there. So they're all a mess right now. So eventually, what's going to happen is they will all be in order of series, and then numerical order once they're in each individual imprint. So I've got like special editions, intrigue, desire, the historical, the heartwarming, the romance, you know, like I've kind of got, it's all kind of all over the place right now. And then I've got these two shelves. This is the top shelf of this shelf. So this one's only 1, 2, 3, 4, but these are 2 deep. And then up here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves. And these are also 2 deep. And then I've got another 5 shelf bookshelf over there that are 2 deep of Harlequins as well. So, yeah. I have a lot of these, you guys. And I'm okay with that. I am absolutely okay with that. But I can't buy any more until I get another bookcase because I'm very quickly running out of room. And I don't want these shelves to end up collapsing on me or something because that would be horrible. So, anyway, like I said, it's my weekly reads video, so there will be timestamps in the description box below if you want to jump ahead to any certain point in this video. I will, of course, be talking about all the books that I finished this week. It was a 6-book week this week. Very excited about that. And then I will be talking about what I'm currently reading, and then I do have a bit of cross-stitch to show you guys. So let's jump in and get started. So the first book that I finished this week, I am reading all this on my Kindle Fire. Yes, I brought the Kindle Fire back out of hibernation. It had been neglected to a drawer since I got my my Kobo Libra as well as my Kindle Oasis. Those are still my preferred reading methods, but they were having a sale on the Harlequin website this weekend. It started on Friday and it goes till today. So if you guys want to check it out, I encourage you to do so. Now, I saw that it was only for ebooks, but I think it might be for all books on the website. But it's buy 3, get 3 free. And originally when I thought it was just for ebooks, I bought ebooks. I don't know if it still is just for ebooks, but I brought this back out so I could start using the Glose app, Glose, which is the app that Harlequin actually uses for their ebooks. And I figured, why not, if I can get some cheap ebooks? So that is the app right there. So I don't have a lot on here. I use it to read that. And pretty much that's about it. If I get a book from Scribed, like an ebook, which is very, 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 very rare, I would use it for that. But I mean, for the price tag of this device, I still really do like it. I'm just not a huge fan of reading off of this. I prefer an e-ink screen personally. So anyway, total side note, sorry guys. But needless to say, I have a ton of different ways to read ebooks. At the end of the day, I don't just use one. So the first book that I finished this week was Second Chance Cowboy by Claire McEwen. I gave this book 4 stars. It was a NetGalley release, so thank you very much to Harlequin as well as NetGalley for sending me an e-art copy of this one to read and review. This is book number 5 in the Heroes of Shelter Creek series. It is Harlequin Heartwarming book number 367. This was published back in March of 2021, and it is a contemporary romance. And this is a clean contemporary, so you're not getting any kind of adult content within this story. So this book was so cute. So it's about a woman by the name of Emily who is a veterinarian, and she has taken over her father's practice. Her father had some health issues, and he was also the local town vet, and she went to veterinary school and has now taken over his practice, and she's essentially working herself to the bone. She pulls, like, you know, she'll work all day, go home, go to bed, and then get an emergency call in the middle of the night. So then at the very beginning of the book, this guy by the name of Wes shows up. Now, Wes was actually a foster kid. He was fostered by Emily's parents when they were teenagers. So it wasn't like when they were real young. It's like when they were like 16, 17. And they were sweet on each other, Emily and Wes. But then one night he disappeared and took off, and no one heard from him for 15 years. They honestly thought that he was dead. And then one day he shows back up in town, and I'm not going to get into his whole backstory because it's very, very interesting when it's revealed in the book. However, he is also now a veterinarian because he was really inspired by Emily's father, because he used to bring both of them to the clinic to help out as much as they could, walk the dogs and do things like that. So he also became a vet, and he's trying to work with Emily because she's clearly taking too much on her plate. So it's a really great second chance romance between these two. They were high school sweethearts, which is adorable, but nobody really knew. They kept it very, low key. They themselves were sweet on each other. However, it wasn't like they were dating. He was supposed to take her to prom, and then he took off just before prom. So she was kind of left. But this was a really sweet story. Involved a lot of information about animal rescue, along with veterinary practices and things like that. There's a horse that Emily is starting to rehabilitate, which just warmed my heart. Fantastic book. I really, really enjoyed this one, and I highly recommend that you guys go ahead and check it out. And cheers, coffee this morning. It's just 10 o'clock and I've already felt like I've done a ton of talking already this morning. The next book that I finished, you guys, this was not on my TBR for the month of May, but it ended up going on there because I participate in a challenge that happens about 4 times a year called the Pass the Parcel Challenge with the Romance Readers Reading Group on Goodreads. And essentially what it is how do I put this? You're put in teams, and then every week you're given a new challenge. So it runs for 12 weeks. So you have to commit to reading a book a week over 12 weeks because it's not a single person challenge. You are helping your team. So every week there's a new prompt. And the prompt for last week was to read a book with like a black, brown, or tan cover. And I was looking at my TBR for May, and I'm like, I got nothing with any of those. So I did a Google search for books with black covers, and this one came up, and I decided to go ahead and reread it. It's been a number of years. I have not read this since I've been on BookTube, and that, of course, is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I had forgotten how this story ends, and it had been about 5 or 6 years since I'd read it. So it's always fun when you have a book that you really like. Like, I love this book, to be completely honest, you guys. I think the story is absolutely fantastic, and I had forgotten how it ends. So, of course, this was a 5-star for me. And as I said, it was a reread. This, the publication date on this one was August of 1938. So this I do consider to be a classic. I don't know really what the stipulation to classic is, but I consider it to be a classic. And, of course, I did listen to it on audio. So I do, even though I have this gorgeous edition, I did listen to it on audio, and it was narrated by Anna Massey. And I looked her up to find out because I know it was an Audible exclusive recording of this book, and I was looking up to see who the narrator was because they're doing this. Audible is doing this for a lot of the classics. Pride and Prejudice. I think they have Emma narrated by oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Emma Thompson. Is it Emma Thompson? I don't remember. Anyway, they have some very big name actors and actresses and things like that narrating these Audible exclusive classic editions. So I wanted to see who Anna Massey was. So I looked her up, and she passed away back in 2011. So clearly this was not a new recording. However, in the 1979 BBC TV adaptation of Rebecca, she played Mrs. Danvers. So she was clearly familiar with the source material. And she did a fantastic job narrating this book. So for those of you who don't know what this is about, you need to read this book, you guys. It is about a unnamed woman. Like the entire book, our narrator, you never find out her name. And she's on Monte Carlo. She's in Monte Carlo with this woman, and she's like her companion. And she meets Maxim de Winter. And Maxim is an older gentleman, old enough to be her father, I think. And he lives at this house called Manderley, which is in England. And she's familiar with this house, like it's a very well-known home in England. And he fancies on this girl, and they end up getting married and going back to Manderley. Well, Rebecca, the title character, is actually Maxim's dead wife, and she's our unnamed, our narrator of this story is kind of trying to fit Rebecca's shoes. And there's some very mysterious things going on in this house surrounding Rebecca's death. And yeah, it was really, really good. Now, last October for Victober, I did read Jane Eyre for the first time, and I really liked it. I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I can very much see now how this was influenced by Jane Eyre, which I think is super interesting. Now, also this month, spoiler alert, I hadn't planned on reading Rebecca, but I had planned on reading The Wife Upstairs. It wasn't mentioned in my TBR, but it's kind of on my side secret TBR. It's not a secret TBR, but it's just one that I don't mention. It's like books. The books that are more my mood read kind of books, and that's by Rachel Hawkins, which is also kind of a retelling, reimagining, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired by Jane Eyre and Rebecca. So I'll be reading that one this month as well. And what I'm thinking, if you guys are interested, what I might do is maybe in June, because I don't know when I'm going to get to The Wife Upstairs, is kind of do a comparison to the 3 books. Like the original Jane Eyre, then Rebecca, and then The Wife Upstairs. So let me know if you guys would be interested in hearing that, me kind of comparing these books, because you guys know I'm not a classics reader. But I loved Jane Eyre, and I really, really love Rebecca. So anyway, yeah, that's the next one that I finished this week. Next one, I read a contemporary romance, and that was Rip Current by Jill Sanders. This one I gave 3.5 stars to. It's book number 3 in the Graydon series. Publication date of July of 2015, and as I said, it is a contemporary romance novel. So this one is about our characters Wendy and Cole. My biggest issue with this one was that I felt this was very, very much insta-love. So our characters in this book, Wendy runs the local bar in this small town. I can't remember the name of the town. It's a beach town, and I think it's in Florida. I don't think they ever actually name the state that this takes place in, if it even is. Well, they say something about the Sunshine Coast, so I'm assuming it must be Florida. So she runs this bar in this local small town. Now, the bar is owned by our male lead in this story, Cole's sister. So they've known each other for about 3 years, and she's kind of fancying him. He's a good-looking guy. He's a surfer. He's also a model. And then he was in an accident about a year earlier, a motorcycle accident, and he's suffered some injuries from that he's still kind of rehabilitating from. So he flirts with her, but she, of course, never thinks anything of it because he's this big famous celebrity. He dates models and famous actresses and things like that. And why would he be interested in her? But he really has a thing for her. But the thing is that I felt like it was very, very quick. You get a prologue to this story where he's quasi flirting with her, and she's kind of like, dude, you don't mean it, so bugger off, kind of an idea. And then the story starts on chapter 1, and it just seems very quick, the progression of the two of them. I like the relationship. It was really cute. These books get very hot and spicy, but they're fun. I like the family dynamic because this entire series is based around a group of siblings who are not biologically siblings, they're foster siblings. So it's really, really interesting. I really do like that. And there's an overarching plot line where one of the siblings has gone missing. And they're kind of trying to track her down. So this is one of the ones on my series books this month. I actually am hoping to get to, so this is book 3. I'm hoping to get to book 4, book 3, book 4, and book 5 this coming week. And then read the last 2 at the end of the month so I can finish off this series. But I have been really enjoying it. I mean, for what it is, it's fun. It's a fun contemporary series set in a beach town, with a great family dynamic and a great friendship dynamic. So my only issue with this book, again, is that it felt very insta-love or insta-lust to me. However, the series itself is fantastic. Cheers. Next up, oh my gosh, you guys, I did not expect to enjoy this one as much as I did. This book was so good. So, it's called in the UK, Away with the Penguins, but here in North America, it's called How the Penguins Saved Veronica. And I will be honest, the cover I'm showing you is the UK edition because I like it better. The cover is cuter and I kind of like the title better, but regardless. And this is by Hazel Pryor. And I gave this book 4.5 stars, you guys. It was so, so good. So this was a NetGalley read. So thank you very much to Penguin Random House and NetGalley for sending me an e-art copy of this one to read and review. This was published back in March of 2020. I'm kicking myself now for taking this long to read it because I really enjoyed it. I requested this one on a whim from NetGalley last year, early last year, and I just never got to it. And guys, you need to check out this book if you haven't. I had a hard time classifying this one. Women's fiction, I don't like that term so much. Just general fiction. It could be partially historical fiction. It could kind of fall and check off a lot of boxes. But let me tell you what it's about, and you might get a better idea of if it's a story that you would enjoy. So this I did listen to on audio. My library had a copy, narrated by Helen Lloyd, Andrew Falzini, and Mandy Williams. And this book was a delight, you guys. So it's about our main character, Veronica, who is 85 years old. And she has a past. And she's a little eclectic, a little eccentric, if you will. Eclectic, eccentric. I think you guys know what I'm saying. She has a woman a housekeeper who comes in every day to help her out and cook her meals. She's very, very well to do. So she ends up watching this program about penguins, and it's in Antarctica and how this team is like helping these penguins. Well, she has multi-millions of dollars, and due to something in her past, which I don't want to reveal because it comes out as this plot of the story gets revealed, that she ends up finding out about her grandson that she didn't really know about until very recently. So the story is told from Veronica's point of view as well as Patrick's point of view. And Patrick is her grandson. And I'm not doing a good job explaining this, guys, so I do apologize. So she ends up meeting Patrick and is less than impressed with her grandson, to say the least. So is like, well, I can't leave him all of my money now because he's an idiot, essentially, is what she's thinking, right? But Patrick is kind of dealing with his own stuff, too. So, which of course, this story really goes to show you that you really don't know. You can't base it off just appearances, like you meet somebody and maybe they're just having a bad day. That's not who they are necessarily. They're just having a bad day, kind of an idea. So anyway, she decides she's going to leave all of her money to this penguin research group. So she decides she's going to go to Antarctica. An 85-year-old woman is going to go to Antarctica. And, and she's talking, and there's this great bit where they go back and forth with emails. Between her housekeeper, because of course Veronica doesn't know how to email or anything like that. She calls it the doodad. And these researchers in Antarctica about no, she can't come. We cannot host this 85-year-old woman. And the housekeeper's like, well, sorry, she's already booked her trip. She's on her way, that kind of a thing. So anyway, she ends up going to Antarctica and spending time with the penguins. And in the course of this, just before she leaves, she sends this locked box to her grandson. And in it are her diaries from when she was a teenager during World War II, during the Blitz in England, and what happened to her and what her story is. So this is told in a dual timeline. It's told now with her, majority of her being in Antarctica with the penguins. And then the other part of the story is her past as told kind of from Patrick reading her diary entries. Guys, it was so good. It was so. I'm looking at this 4.5 star now, and I'm like, no, this needs to be a 5. Now that I've had time to sit with it, it was so amazing. I really, really, really liked it. And guys, I found out there's a sequel coming out this fall, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm here for it. So if this sounds like something that you guys would be interested, please do not sleep on this book. Go and check it out. You will not be disappointed. I did say I had it. No, I did not listen to this from the library because I had it out from the library. And because I share my library account with my mom, I think she may have accidentally returned it on me. So I had credits from Audible. So I actually bought a copy of it, which is good because now my mom can listen to it because I really think she's going to like it. So anyway, yes, do not sleep on this one. Check it out. The audio on this one was fantastic as well. Next up, because I finished that one. What day did I finish that one? Thursday or Friday. And I did not finish, and I hadn't finished and I just wanted to finish something because it had been a few days. So I ended up picking up Mallory and the Dream Horse by Ann M. Martin, which is book number 54 in the Babysitters Club series. I gave this one 3 stars. I always give the Babysitters Club books 3 stars generally, unless it's one that really blows me away for whatever reason. Publication date May 1992, and of course this is a middle grade fiction novel. So in this story, Mallory, our main character, is horse crazy. She has been through the whole run of the series, and she begs her parents to take riding lessons, so she starts taking these riding lessons, and the other kids in her class are very, very snobby, and she ends up falling off the horse, and she's a little bit afraid to go back to these lessons. And, you know, it was fun, it was cute, it was what it was. Glad I read it, as I say about all these Babysitters Club books, and I enjoyed it. And last but not least, the last book that I finished this week, this was a good week for books, legit, you guys, was A Marriage of Equals by Elizabeth Rolls. So this is, I gave this one 4.5 stars as well. This one is definitely a 4.5 star because I did have a few issues with it. But even with the issues I had with it, I still rated it a 4.5 star. This is another NetGalley read, so thank you very much to NetGalley and Harlequin for sending me an e-art copy of this to read and review. I did go out and buy a copy of it, and am I ever glad I did? Because now I'm going to have this beauty on my shelves. This is Harlequin historical number 1573, publication date May 2021. So this is a brand new release this month. And this is, of course, a historical romance. It takes place, it goes between the late 1700s, 1780, 1790, in Jamaica, actually, and England, to 1803 England. So it's not a huge time jump, but you do still get this back and forth telling her story. So her name, I want to call her Psyche, Psyche, and I even Google searched how to pronounce that, and that's how it said it was pronounced. So it's her and Will. She is the daughter of a slave and I guess a landowner. What would you call them? Master, something like that, in Jamaica in the late 1700s, as I said. Or 1790s or something like that. And so her mother was a slave and her father was white. And you find out much, much, much later in the story what actually happened to her mother. But you get these flashbacks of her talking about her journey to England with the man that she calls the father. He's not her father, he is the father. She doesn't want to lay claim to the fact that he is actually her blood relation. So she comes to England, and she is taken in by the father's family because, spoiler alert, it happens right at the beginning of the book. The father ends up dying just after the voyage. Like, he's very sick during the voyage and dies when he gets back. So her great uncle ends up taking her in, and she is raised alongside her cousin, who is white. And she is treated very much how you would expect a black woman to be treated in the 1800s, in 1803 in England. You know, even though she was being raised in a very well-to-do household in the upper class, she was given the same lessons as her cousin. She was the same etiquette, all the same things as her cousin. There was no difference. But clearly, because she was black, she was definitely considered to be inferior, right? So anyway, when her father died, they put this will together that she actually inherited all of the father's money. So she's fine. Financially, she is perfectly good. And the uncle also has a great deal of money that he plans on leaving her as well. But what I loved about this one so much is that she actually runs a coffee shop. So this is like right before the Regency period. I think the Regency period starts in like 1811 in England, and it only ran for like 9 years. So it's like 1811 to 1820 was the Regency period. So anyway, this is told not as the Viscounts and the Dukes and the balls and the grand yada 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 that you typically see with Regency romance. She's a shopkeeper, and he is the secretary to a very well-to-do gentleman. So these are your average, everyday people, and I loved that. I absolutely love that. So the main premise of the story is that there is a girl who is running away from this marriage, this horrible marriage, and so these two characters decide to try and hide her, and all these things. So the reason this did not get a 5-star set, I felt that for a book that came in at 281 pages, had far too many characters. So I was getting confused. Even more towards the end, I'm like, who's who? What's happening now? Like, there were a lot of characters in this book, and I'll be honest, you know, I just felt it was too much. The thing was that this is not part of a series. Nowhere on here does it say it's part of a series. I checked Goodreads, I checked Fiction Database. Usually now, Harlequin has been really good, and they'll put the series title right there on the back. Nothing to indicate this is part of a series. So I'm like, cool, I can read it as a standalone. And then when I read the author's note at the beginning, it talks about the fact that these characters, you've already met them in previous books that she's written. And I'm like, how is that not part of a series? So anyway, that's my one complaint about this, is that I did find it confusing at parts. Not the whole thing. I mean, I got the gist of the story and I really, really liked it. So not only was the story great, but I think what just kind of pushed it up an extra notch was the author's note, or the afterword in the back of the book. Where she got the idea for this from. I don't want to spoil anything, so go ahead and read that when you're done reading the book, because it suddenly makes you go, oh, really? And it's like a bit of history that I now really want to read more about, and I really, really loved this one, you guys. So definitely go ahead and check this one out. So that is all that I have read this week, you guys. I know. A 6-book week. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So, what else do I have to share with you guys? Oh yeah, what am I currently reading? So right now, I am currently reading, I'm just trying to get some stuff organized here to show you something else. What I am currently reading on audio is Summer Nights by Susan Mallory. This is the 8th book in the Fool's Gold series, and this is the story of Annabella. Is it Annabella and Shane? And she is the local librarian in Fool's Gold, but she's not your typical librarian. And Susan Mallory even says in the dedication to this book, like, this is for all my fellow librarians who asked for a librarian character who wasn't stuffy. Because typically when you see a librarian in a book, she's a little bit stuffy, buttoned up, she wears glasses, all she does is read, you know, like a very typical, whereas Annabelle at the beginning of the book is dancing on a bar. So she goes to Shane for help because she wants to learn how to ride a horse, because there's going to be a big festival and she's trying to raise money for the bookmobile, and to do so she's going to do this horse dance thing or something. It's part of the town's history, and Shane's a cowboy, and he raises race horses, but he agrees to teach her how to ride. And he's kind of had a bit of a past. His ex-wife was very flirtatious, very kind of the vibe that Annabelle gives out, like, hey, life is great, I just want to have fun. Whereas he said now, like, he's looking for someone boring and, you know, who's not, because his ex-wife cheated on him, and that's not what he, you know, is interested in, clearly. So they're kind of, he doesn't really know the real her. It's cute so far. I'm just a little bit less than halfway through it. I do plan on getting it done today, if at all possible. And then I have just started last night reading Tracking a Kidnapper by Valerie Hansen. This is one that you guys voted for me in my Friday Reads video, so thank you very much. And this is a love-inspired suspense. It is, I think, the 5th book in the Canine series. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Brooklyn series, the Canine something series, but it'll say it right there on the cover. And this is about someone who is kidnapping children. And our main character, whose name I can't remember because I'm only a chapter into it, she is a dog, a canine police officer, and she has that beautiful black and white border collie named Hank. I remember the dog's name. The dog's name is Hank. And how they are kind of tracking this kidnapper, and they're being assisted by a guy by the name of Caleb, who is an FBI behavioral specialist, I think. So yeah, so far, like I said, I'm a chapter into this, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's relatively short. It's around 200 pages. I'm probably going to sit down this afternoon and watch the baseball game and finish this one off. Because so far, like, one chapter in, I like flew through it, so I'm like really excited about reading the rest of this one. So that is all that I have, you guys, in terms of reading. So let's get into my crafting, shall we? I got some cross stitch done this week, you guys. I've gotten some cross stitch done this week, so I'm very, very happy. I finished the second clue for the Cozy Cafe mystery stitch along that I am doing as part of the, it's from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So, I'll show it to you guys. Just let me fold up the fabric here so you're not seeing all the extra fabric. So, this is, for those of you who might be new to my channel, this is a mystery stitch along, so I have no idea what the entire finished piece will look like. But every month we get a clue, and it's a different cafe drink, if you will. So the first month was this raspberry mocha, absolutely adorable. And then this month, for the month of April, because the new clue will come out on May 25th, is a matcha. So there it is. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, this piece is meant to have beadwork in it, but I hate doing beads in cross stitch. I find it makes it super heavy, and I'm just not a fan. So I'm omitting the beads. I'm just doing the pattern as kind of written. So yeah, So there is that so far. I'm really, really happy with it. I like it a lot, and I'm glad to have caught up now, so I am ready to go for when the next clue is released. And then I decided to start a new pattern because I got the fabric for this one in the mail. Now, this is a pattern I've had for about 5 years. It was another mystery stitch along. However, the entire pattern has now been released. So I know what it looks like. And I bought it after it had been completely released. So this is a big pattern. Like, this is going to be massive. I'll show you guys the fabric. Hold on. Just let me fold this all up here. So this is the length of it, okay? Right? And then the height. It's not going to take up this entire piece, but it's going to take up a good chunk of it, okay? So this is from a company called CloudsFactory, and it is the Zodiac sampler. I think it's called the Zodiac sampler. I will show you guys what the finished piece looks like in just a second, but I'll show you, I'm just folding this up again. I'll show you guys what I have stitched on it so far. And I got this done on Thursday, Friday, because I was actually off work on Friday, which was kind of nice. So there's what I've stitched so far. So this is the corner piece. Isn't that gorgeous? So this calls for a lot of this gold color. I mean, I think over half the stitches in this piece call for this gold color. And it originally calls for a floss that actually has a sparkle in it. And like I said, I've had this pattern for about 5 years. And the first time I attempted it, I tried to do the gold sparkle. I couldn't do it, you guys. I was ready to pull my hair out because it's very finicky and it's not easy to work with. And I'm like, if it was just a small portion of it, I might suck it up and try it. But because it's such a huge amount of work that's done in that color, I just pulled a floss color that's as close to gold as I could get. And I really like it. I think it looks really great against this fabric. I got 2 pieces of this fabric, actually. Another one this size too, for some Christmas, like a snow village kind of an idea. So yeah, but I really like this a lot. So like I said, I will show you guys what the finished piece looks like. I'll link all these down below if you guys are interested in picking up these patterns for yourselves. For those of you who might also be cross stitchers, this is an epic pattern. This is going to take me a good while to complete. Oh, it's called Through the Stars Zodiac Sampler. So there is the finished piece. Sorry for the glare, you guys. There it is. So what I have done right now is like right there. That little piece right there. And then I'm going to do all these little guys. I'm going to go all the way around and then I'm going to move in. And that's how I'm going to do it. So let me try and blow it up just a little bit so you guys can see. So for each one, you get like a little dude. It's like represents that zodiac sign. Then you get the star, like how it would look in the night sky. Then you get like the actual symbol for that zodiac sign. And then in the middle, you get like the moon faces, which yes, my tattoo is the phases of the moon, which I absolutely love. And then all the planets and the stars. And I just think it's so, so pretty and so neat. And I absolutely love it. So yeah, so that is that one. And then the last thing, so I worked on that for Thursday, Friday. And then on Saturday, yesterday, Rainy over at Rainy Day Reads and I, we she bought me this pattern for my birthday and got a copy for herself as well. And it's a Golden Girls quote. So she really wanted to start it, and I had the fabric and the floss to start it. I'm like, let's start it together. So that's what we decided to do. So I started this one yesterday. I'm going to work on it some more today and probably tomorrow. But that's what I have done so far. Again, gold in the corners. It seems to be like a theme for me this week. Like my husband said to me last night, I was sitting there stitching on, he goes, weren't you doing that on a different color of fabric? I'm like, no, it was a completely different pattern. But that's what I have so far, and I've started some wording here. So with this one, this is another bigger piece. I do my cross stitch, for those of you who are interested, on 14 count. So what that means for those of you who do not cross stitch is you get 14 stitches per inch on 14 count. So the higher the stitch count, like if you were doing this on like 18 count, it would be a smaller piece because you're getting 18 stitches per inch. Does that make sense? So, yeah, so this is, it's called the Walk Faster pattern, and I will show you guys the finished piece in just a second. But I'm using my Golden Girls, let me move this up so you guys can see it better. I am using my Golden Girls needle keeper that Rainy bought me for Christmas. It says, Merry Friendmas. Isn't that adorable? I had to use that with this pattern, don't you think? So anyway, this is from a designer called Lindy Stitches. Her stuff is adorable. I have another couple of her patterns and I really, really like them. So this is what the finished piece will look like. And it's another sampler. I'm kind of all about the samplers lately, but it is super, super funny. You have to be a fan of the Golden Girls to really appreciate this one, in my opinion. So that's what the finished piece is going to look like. I know you're like, there's a giant fish on it. You're not a fish person. But what it says is, it says, it's like that old Scandinavian saying, you can lead a herring to water, but you have to walk fast or he'll die. Obviously from Rose, from the Golden Girls. So I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. And with Rainy and I stitching together, I think that makes it a lot of extra fun as well. Because we both kind of started at different places. Or I think we might start at the same place, but we stitch at different, she might stitch more than I do and, have more time or what have you. So it'll be kind of fun to watch them both progress. But yeah, so far, I am super, super pleased with that. And I love it. It makes me all kinds of happy. So that's my plan for today, is to edit this, to edit my Read Bliss video that I did, and to do some audiobook listening, do some stitching, and then some baseball, and of course try and finish off that Love Inspired book. So, how are you guys doing? You guys doing good? Cheers. Cheers. Let me know how your week went, you guys. Did you read any great books? Did you read any of the books that I talked about? Again, let me know. Are you interested in me doing that comparison video between Jane Eyre, Rebecca, and The Wife Upstairs? Let me know. And yeah, until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.